Hi children, this is me VishnuRam again with another chapter from our supplementary reader prescribed for 10th class, the chapter number 5. And you have seen that chapter number 5 and the textbook carry the same name, Footprints Without Feet. Now you may understood that, you would have understood that how important that chapter is. Footprints Without Feet. The name Footprints Without Feet itself is mysterious, right? And this particular chapter prescribed for us is actually an extract from a novel, a science fiction written by H.G. Wells named as Invisible Man. And this story, before getting into the story, as usual, we need to go for, the details of the author, H.G. Wells. Herbert George Wells was an English writer. He was famous for his science fiction, but he tried every genre, like short stories, biographies, satires, every kind of things. And he can be noted as the father of English science fictions. And the same Invisible Man, the science fiction written by H.G. Wells, that idea has been made into multiple films. Maybe you have heard about Hollow Man, The Invisible Man, released in 2019. So a lot of films are based on the same theme of an invisible man. As I already told, this story is a part of the famous science fiction, The Invisible Man, written by H.G. Wells, which tells the story of a scientist who discovers a strange chemical combination, a rare chemical combination to make human body invisible. The name of the scientist is Griffin. So Griffin finds out or discovers a chemical compound that makes human body invisible. At the same time, the body can be touched and felt physically. And this particular part, which is prescribed for us for our studies, is a very interesting portion from the novel The Invisible Man. The story starts with two boys who were actually got interested and fascinated with the appearance of footprints without anybody there. It's like appearing footprints from nowhere on the street, muddy footprints. So these boys were actually following those footprints. It says that these footprints, new footprints are coming out of the air, thin air. No one understands where exactly these footprints are appearing from. And there our author tells about the main character, Griffin, the scientist. Griffin was a successful scientist who invented a chemical compound, can be a medicine, which helps a human body to become invisible. Great superpower, right? So, suppose we got this kind of superpower. For example, as a student or as a human being, think about yourself. You got that particular medicine to make yourself invisible. What will you do? Think about it. What else? What all things you can do? Just think about it, and you may comment in the comment section. And anyway, Griffin got that particular compound. He was a scientist. He invented it. He discovered it, and will he use it for a good purpose? We don't know, because Griffin was a lawless person. A lawless person means a person who never obeys any rules and regulations or a law enforced by a city or a state or a country, whatever it is. So he won't obey any kind of rules. He hates rules and regulations and laws. So such a person gets an ability to get invisible. Think about what all things can happen. What all crimes he could commit. Griffin, the invisible scientist, somehow managed to get away from those two boys. But that was not his problem. His actual problem, what bothers him, was it was freezing cold out there because it was a winter season in London. He was really getting shivering with that freezing cold out there in the streets of London, as he was not wearing any clothes. Yeah, he was completely naked. Because if he wears some dress, obviously everyone can see him. He'll become visible. At least partially he'll become visible. So he had to remove all the clothes. So he was completely naked, and to how extent a person in the street without any dress in the winter season could live. Maybe for a couple of hours. So he urgently wanted somewhere, some place actually. He just wanted to go somewhere where he can get the warmth. He just wanted some clothes, or he just wanted a room where he can spend that particular night. Somehow he sneaked into a store in the street itself. And it was the time of the closing. After everyone left the store, Griffin, he went in search of some dress to wear, and he found some. He had an overcoat, hat, and anyway, he was more comfortable in those new clothes without any payment. Then, for the stomach, he went inside the restaurant, and they were called meat and coffee. He consumed it, and then he went to the grocery, and there he could find some sweets. He consumed that also, and he got wine too. After this, for this condition, the physical condition, and his stomach was full, he went and searched for a better place to sleep. And he found a better place. That's a heap of quilts, and he slept over the quilts. In a sense, in a thought that in the morning before those people come back, those people return back to their store, he should wake up and leave the place. But he couldn't, because he was that much tired and he got a full stomach food, so he slept. When those storekeepers and helpers and everyone, when they came back in the morning, they found Griffin is sleeping. In the morning, when the assistants of that shop, that store, when they returned to their daily work, they found someone is sleeping there, a stranger sleeping inside their store. And when Griffin saw them, Griffin became really nervous, and he just started running away. Somebody is running from your stall. Will you say, bye-bye stranger? No. Those people who worked in the store, those assistants, they chased him. To get escaped out of this problem, again Griffin had to undress. He removed his clothes one by one, and he became completely naked and completely invisible in that cold, chilled air of January in the street. So he understood that it's not going to work. So he just needed another set of dress. And he found that he thought that it will be easier if he got inside a theatrical shop in Drury Lane, he could find something suitable for him. So he finds a shop there, and a suitable shop there, and he gets inside, and when he returns, he was having a complete clothing and bandages for his forehead and false nose, side whiskers, and a round hat. So now every part of his body is covered with some clothings, so that everyone can see him as a normal person, but obviously a strange person. So I understood that it's really hard to live in the middle of the city in London because it's too much crowded. So he wanted to go away from this crowd. So he selects a rural village called Iping. So he books a train ticket to Iping, and he books 2 rooms in an inn in Iping. As he reached the local inn in Iping, everyone, the neighbors, even the landlord and his wife, Mrs. Hall, everyone had a strange feeling because they haven't seen somebody like this. Think about someone is coming to your home completely covered, even their eyes are not visible. He was having a bandage over his face and a false nose, whiskers, hat, dark glasses, and every part, gloves and shoes, and every part of his body is covered with some kind of fabric or and something completely covered. So everyone had a strange feeling, and even Mrs. Halls, the landlord's wife, she tried to be friendly with the man, but Griffin never wanted someone to get too much close because he never wanted to disclose his identity. And the reason he said was he came to Iping because he wanted to work in solitude. He never wanted to mix up with people. And he gave a huge sum of money, which he actually robbed from a shop in Drury Lane in London before he was traveling to Iping. From a shopkeeper, he just robbed a shopkeeper before that. So that huge sum of money he gave to Mrs. Halls in advance of his rent. So she was really happy. She never had any other intention to disturb Griffin. So everything was going very smooth till Griffin's all money in the hand, it was over. Then Griffin said, so anyway he wanted to pay the rent. So Griffin said, one check is about to come. It will reach any moment. That time he'll be paying that. Then that strange thing happened. There was a clergyman and his wife living in the neighborhood. In the morning, when they wake up, they heard a strange sound coming out of their study room. As something strange is happening inside the house, clergyman took an iron drawer in his hand and he went into the study room. He flung open the door and shouted, "Surrender!" as he caught that thief. But strangely, nothing was there. No one was there inside the room. They were searching between things under the cot, under the table, opened the cupboard. Maybe they looked behind the curtain. Even they searched up in the chimney. But no one was there. And the money inside the desk was gone. Throughout the day, clergyman was sitting somewhere and telling, "What an extraordinary affair. What an extraordinary affair. What an extraordinary affair." In the same morning, the landlord and his wife, Mrs. Hall, and her husband, both of them actually found Griffin's door was open. Usually, Griffin gets really angry if someone tried to enter his room. But it was open, which is usually always shut. And Mrs. Hall never wanted to miss that opportunity to investigate what exactly is happening inside his room. So she, with her husband, together went inside the room, and there was nobody. But the bandage, the hat, the false nose, everything was over the bed, and even the bed was really cold. That means maybe Griffin was up for a while ago. So they were waiting there. That moment, Mrs. Halls felt a sniffing at her ear, really too near her ear. She was terrified, and the hat which was kept on the bed post, it actually rose up and flung towards her face, hitting her face. So this was really frightening. So everyone, everyone means she and her husband, Mrs. Halls and her husband, both of them were actually shocked. And that moment, the chair inside the room got alive. It rose up in the air and dashed towards her, hitting on her leg. Anyway, they frightened, they ran downstairs. Mrs. Halls almost fell down the stair. And the door was shut and they heard the sound of locking. So this was much more stranger than what happened to the clergyman. After coming downstairs, Mrs. Halls, she started weeping. She started mourning. Like, that chair was my mother's. The chair belongs to my mother. That exact chair came to hit me. It came to kill me. It all because of that scientist there. It all because of Griffin there. He have some kind of witchcraft. That's the reason why there is a lot of ghosts inside that room. She started building up stories. By the time the news of burglary inside clergyman's house spread all over the village. So everyone had this suspicion about Griffin because he was having a strange appearance, maybe. So everyone suspected him for this burglary happened in clergyman's house. The suspicion actually grew up when Griffin handed over a huge sum of money to Mrs. Halls as a rent. Why it becomes suspicious? Because Griffin already told that he was waiting for a check which will come at any moment, and he doesn't have any kind of money at home, at hand. So these two things, and how he got this much amount of money right now, and how he got into a locked room, these kind of things were actually doubts. These kind of doubts were actually happening inside Mrs. Hall's mind. At the same time, from the village, people sent for Mr. Jaffos, the village constable, the police. So the police is coming, and she couldn't wait for the police. So she went to that room, went to Mr. Griffin and asked what exactly is happening here. Griffin got that much angry. And he said, "You don't have any idea what exactly I am. You don't understand what exactly my powers. I can show you if you want." And he just started removing his cap, his bandages, false nose, whiskers, everything. Everything happened in a snap of a time. By the time people were gathered and Jaffos came, and everyone was witnessing a headless man. Because he was invisible, he removed every clothing from above his shoulder, and his head is invisible. Think about it, man. Somebody is walking towards you without a head. Oh my God, this is really frightening. By the time the police constable, Mr. Jaffos, he reached there, and he was wondering, man, I have to arrest a man without a head. Anyway, magistrate already issued a warrant to arrest a person. It's his duty. It's my duty. You know what Mr. Jaffos was saying? It's my duty to arrest a man with or without head. If the magistrate has ordered to arrest a person, he have to arrest that person with or without head. That's pukka. Anyway, he just tried to catch Griffin to arrest him, but Griffin was doing the same thing, like removing his dress one by one to become completely invisible. And as Jaffers was trying to catch him, in a few seconds, Griffin became completely invisible. And those people who tried to help Mr. Jaffers were getting punches from here and there, from the air. Because you know what, invisible, Griffin, the scientist, you know what, done that thing. So, everyone tried to catch him. And in between the people, everyone were shouting, hold him, hold him. Now, who will hold, man? How can someone hold a person who is not visible at all? Anyway, everyone tried hard, but scientist Griffin, he escaped. Here, the story Footprints Without Feet, which is prescribed for us, ends. You must be wondering, what exactly happened after this? You must be having that curiosity, right? There's only one solution for that. You must find that book, The Invisible Man, written by H.G. Wells. And everyone must read that book and understand what exactly happened. It's a wonderful novel and really entertaining. I assure you that. You must read it, okay? Till I come back with another chapter. Bye.